Hello there all my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina of CSLdesigns, and today I'm going to open the next dollar bead box and see what's inside. Now I'm really curious because the previous one that I opened, there was a lot of stuff in there that I really liked. Some new things that I hadn't tried before, and I really was happy with how a lot of the pieces turned out that are made from the materials from the box and the bag. So let's just dig right into it. So let's have a look in it. Open up the box here. And then, like usual, we have the bag, which I'm just going to start looking at that first. Kind of like to go through that one first, put the box away in the meantime. And also, like usual, we have that little piece of paper. So I'm just going to get right into the bag here, take the paper out and pour out the beads as well. And then I'll just have a little look at them. So like usual, we have 4 strands of 3mm rounds and 4 strands of 4mm rounds. So I'm just going to kind of separate them out from each other. And it looks like we have some interesting colours here. So we have the 4mm rounds and 3mm rounds. And then I'm just going to go through that little piece of paper as well, just to kind of check the colours. So I'm just going to put that here so you can see it on the screen as well. And we have these strands next to it. So first of all, let's start with the 3mm ones, because they're at the top. We have matte cyan. So that has got to be this one, kind of dark reddish. And that's matte as well, but still faceted by the looks of it. Sun orange. Very bright orange, got some sparkle to it because it's faceted. Matte jonquil, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but I'm guessing it's this one. Pretty nice and delicate. And then turquoise half copper. Now this looks familiar to me because in the previous dollar bead box there was one of these but in 4mm ones, which was one of my favourite things out of that one. So it would be lovely to use these alongside them to basically, obviously they match them. The problem with that is I don't have that many left of them, but the few I have, maybe I can kind of put them together. So if you still have some left of that previous box, then they would definitely go together. And then I have 4mm strands. We have olive first of all, which I'm guessing is the green one, and then matte topaz, kind of brownish one, light brown, crystal light copper amethyst. So we have, it's kind of like an amethyst base, but it's got a bit of a copperish coating on it. Quite interesting actually. And the last one, opaque white Bermuda blue. Now I've seen something similar to this previously as well. It's like a white base colour, but then it's partly coated with a really deep blue, almost metallic finish as well, and there's a nice sparkle to it. There's some really lovely strands in there. I can definitely see myself doing something with them. And then let's move on to the box here. So like usual, let me just get it out and get the box out of the way. It's a little bit finicky to deal with. And we have the piece of paper, a bit of information, and then we have all the contents as well. So let me just put that a little bit to the side while I unpack everything. We've got the tissue like usual. Let's see what's in here. So it looks like we have some strands and some pieces in some bags again. And get the tissue out of the way. Makes a bit of noise. Right, so let's see where we're going to start here. I think I might just separate the strands away from the bags. Get a little bit of an overview. I think that was it. Yep. And then I think I will just start looking at the strands first of all, while I kind of have them here. I'm just going to bring them in and we'll have a bit of a closer look. So let's have a look and see if we can go through them, identify them. I'm just going to go through them one by one, start from the top. We have 4mm Czech glass, English cut, olive luster, and there's 25 pieces on the strand. So that's the least. So also, with the colour, that should be this one here. Quite a short strand that, but quite interesting. It's not quite something I've seen before. Got a bit of a natural finish to it, I think, with the colours and the coating. So that's that one there. We have 4mm Czech fire polish, green turquoise nebulous luster, and that's 50 pieces. So I'm thinking that's these ones because it's the green turquoise, and then it has that kind of luster effect on top, which adds quite a lovely sparkle. It's a bit metallic, but not fully metallic coated like somehow. That's quite a nice deep colour. Right, so that's these two. Next one, 6mm Czech fire polish, matte bronze hematite. So that's got to be these ones. We've got 20 of them. I do really like these actually. They have a really lovely finish to them. They're kind of a bit matte, but not fully matte. A bit satin-like actually. And I love hematite finish in general, and the faceted as well. So they are quite interesting. Then we have 4mm Czech glass struck, opaque red gold luster. 35, so I'm guessing that's got to be these with the red. That's quite interesting. So they're fully round, a bit berry-like they remind me of. Kind of a bit of a rainbow cutting to it as well. And then we have 6mm Czech glass rondelles, peach rainbow iris. So there's got to be these ones. Pretty delicate peach pink colour, like baby pink almost, but a bit peach to it. And quite an interesting shape because they are rondelle-ish shape, but not the typical rondelles. That's quite interesting. You got quite a few of them as well. The last ones, 3x5mm Czech glass pinch beads, matte jet. So they have a very interesting shape. I've had one or two of these strands before. Still haven't really managed to use them in anything, I think. But it's quite an interesting colour. It's obviously quite dark, but it's got a bit of a different kind of finish to it, which probably doesn't really show up on the camera, but it does look a bit different. So those are the strands here. Let me have a look then at the bags. It looks like there's some interesting things in there. Right, so I'm thinking I want to try and start from the top, taking one at a time, and kind of identify it as I go. So have the paper here, you can see it as well. The first one is 12mm pewter toggle. So antique brass, one set. So I'm guessing that's this one because that's a toggle clasp. It looks like a pretty nice size because I like when they're not too big and not too small. But it looks like a pretty nice size. So if you make anything from beads in either the box or the bag, you already have a clasp included as well, which is quite nice. And it would really go with most of the colours of the beads. So that is the clasp here. Now then the next one is a 25mm porcelain tubular round. Olive topaz is the colour. So I'm thinking that's got to be this one. So that is quite interesting, that. Let me just take it out. So obviously quite large. And then you have the hole. That's actually a really large hole, that. So that could be some interesting things because of that large hole. You can get quite a bit through there, cord or wire, whichever you prefer. But it has a lovely texture. So it's not just a pattern on it, it's actually textured, you can feel it, which is very interesting. So that's definitely different. That would, I would say, kind of be a main feature of a piece, whatever you want to use it for. And then next, along what looks like the same lines, a 22x29mm porcelain tubular rectangle, again olive topaz. So that's got to be this one here. So also a large bead, just in kind of a different shape, and doesn't have that same pattern on it, but some different colours. It definitely seems quite organic. Obviously it's not fully rectangular, it's kind of rounded off. But that's interesting. You actually have the hole on the longer side. It has a bit of like a shape to it like this. So it's not just fully flat. That's quite interesting. Again, the hole is really large as well. So you could obviously use them together or use them kind of separately as like a main focal within the piece. And then next on the list we have 5x9mm Chinese crystal cut rectangle, periwinkle rainbow iris. 4 pieces. So there's got to be this one here. And just get them out. It looks like it's quite a nice finish on them. That kind of rainbow finish. So it's a very interesting shape, that. Obviously the rectangular shape. But you then have the hole going through the long way. That's a lovely base colour. And you have that rainbow iris colour on top. A bit metallic as well. They're actually really interesting. I don't think I've worked quite with a bead this shape before. But I really quite like them. Wouldn't mind trying to come up with something with them actually. I have to experiment a little bit. So they're quite nice. Next we then have 8mm Czech glass curved cubes, crystal with white opal, and you have 6 pieces of them. So that's got to be these ones. So some cubed beads, but that are curved by the sounds of it. Just get a couple of them out. Have a bit of a look. Now they are clear with kind of white opal effect inside. And you have the hole going in the middle there. It's definitely an interesting shape, and the hole going in an interesting direction compared to usual. They're quite interesting. Now the next ones actually caught my eye when I took everything out. One of the first things that I actually noticed in the box. And those are Czech glass Ammonites. So the 16mm and the jet black. You get 2 of them. Now I do like actual real Ammonites. I actually have one that's really beautiful. And I really like the shape of them as well. I've never seen it in something like this before, kind of a small bead in glass. Where you obviously kind of just get the shape of them. You can see that. It's just a really kind of interesting and satisfying shape, I think. And then, just had a look for the hole. It actually goes, maybe catch it just there, through, from one side to the other, you could kind of say. So the hole goes through that way. And then obviously the same on the other side. So you could mirror them, if you maybe wanted to make them into earrings or something. So that'd be quite interesting to use them with something. I've never used beads in this ammonite shape before. And the next I also noticed these ones straight away. So these ones are Czech glass elephants, they're 20mm ones, because they're a bit hard to mix, to be honest. They're pretty big. And they're also the turquoise with gold wash. So again, those colours are quite noticeable. So we have these little elephants. Now, I have previously had these in a box before, but a different colorway. They were, I think, a bit darker blue and then had a silver metallic wash instead of the gold. And I really liked them. They were really cute, I thought. And these are also cute. Gold isn't really my favorite, so obviously I'd probably say I prefer the other ones. But otherwise, they are still really cute. And it's a nice bead overall. And you have the hole then going from the top there, down through to the bottom. Now, previously I made a ring out of the ones from the previous box there, out of those elephant beads, so you can always check that out if you want to, but they are pretty cute, nice beads. And then next it looks like we have some Sourav Ski. So we have some Sourav Ski Cillian Rose 4mm ones, so it looks like flat back little Sourav Ski pieces, and they are called crystal metallic blue foiled. So yeah, a dark blue, definitely very dark and deep, and have like a metallic finish to it. It's probably a little bit hard to see. I'll try and see if I can move it in the light, if that might help. Quite small as well. Let's see if it catches the light. You can kind of get that blue tone from them. But again, that's always something you can use to maybe glue onto something with that flat back. And then we have another finding. So we have a pewter 3-strand connector. It's 16 by 23mm antique copper. It looks like this. Let's get one out here. So you get 2 3-strand connectors, obviously. So if you're making a bracelet or a necklace even, you have one for either end of your piece. Looks like that, quite a nice design on that. Very intricate looking. And if I just get that clasp from before out, you can see they actually do match and go together, so you could use them. So obviously use those connectors, but then use the clasp to attach them and then help make your final piece. So again, pretty nice that you have some connectors here. So it's not just beads, we actually get some findings as well. Then we have something called Beehive 9mm jet black. So I'm guessing the beehive is connected to the shape of the bead, because it does kind of look like beehives. Let me just get 1 or 2 out. Now they are black, so it might be a little bit hard to see. But they're kind of oval shaped, but have ridges along them, which obviously gives it that beehive kind of effect, going all the way around it. I've not seen anything quite like this before. It's pretty interesting. and they are black. You get 6 of them. Now for the final one, I have the one left there. They are 6mm vintage German glass rounds. It looks like quite an interesting colour. It's opaque white with yellow and blue. They're definitely very delicate colours. Let's get a couple of them. So, looks pretty like organic or abstract that the colours are on the beads. It's kind of a bit random. Almost like you have a base colour of white, and then you have those yellow and blue kind of just swirled around randomly. That's pretty nice. Very spring-like, I would say. So yeah, that was the final bag in the box. So that was everything that was in the box here. Now looking at it like this, I'm kind of getting some gothic vibes from it because there's quite a bit of dark, and then some of the, even the colours like the red and green, they're still kind of dark. So that's just the vibes that I'm getting. But obviously if you then bring in the strands from the bag, you're adding quite a bit more colour and a bit more bright colours, which makes me think a bit more spring, especially the green and the orange. So obviously combined, it's not quite gothic, but the box itself I think is a little bit gothic inspired, but that's just my first thoughts. So yeah, now that I've gone through it all here, what I'm going to do is go away, see if I can play around with some of it, come up with some designs to use these pieces in, and then I'll get back to you and show you what I've done. So I now made a few pieces of jewellery here with some of the materials from the box and the bag, and these are some of the beads that I did use. There were also some other beads that I used, but I can't show you them on the strand because I literally used every single one of them, so you have to see them in the jewellery that I made with them. But just for a brief overview, you can see here I used those pale pink kind of rondelle beads with a little bit of a bead coating that's very subtle, and then I used these round faceted ones as well, purple and clear, and again they have a bit of metallic coating as well. And then I used these light, these are 4mm, and then these light 3mm rounds, and these three I actually used together. I thought the colours went really well together. And then I used these rounds as well, so the kind of turquoise ones with that metallic half or semi-coating. Those were some of my favourites. I really like these beads. And those I used by themselves. Then I used these other beads down here, so the black pinch beads, and then these two different rounds, and them I used together along with the other beads that I can't show you on the strand because I used all of them. So now let me show you the pieces that I ended up making. So I ended up just making a few bracelets here with this bag and box, and this is what they look like. So the very first one that I made was actually this wrap bracelet with leather. Just pick these ones out of the way. And that's where I used a lot of different beads, and also some of the beads where I literally used every single one of them. So this is how it looks. Because I saw these beads on the strands and I really liked how they worked together, the colours. And I thought they'd work well with the leather there, so I thought I would make a wrap bracelet. And then I just used a button there from my stash to use as a clasp. So this is what the bracelet looks like. I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. So you can maybe see the ones that I actually used every single one of. We have those larger ones in the middle there. So a wrap bracelet was the first one that I made. The second bracelet I made was actually this chained link bracelet. Now obviously I just made this into a bracelet because of length, but it's really just the chain that I made. You can make whatever length that you want to. And that's why I used those beads that I said were some of my favorites. So the kind of teal bead with the metallic coating, and I thought it would go really well with copper wire. So I made these little kind of beaded knots links and put them together. So they look like that. Give a really nice effect. Kind of a bit of a Celtic look to the knot part, but then you have the beads in the middle. That adds a bit of colour as well and a bit of interest. And then like I said, I just turned this one into a bracelet. And finally, I also wanted to make a macrame bracelet, so I came up with this one. So first of all, it shows the beads that I thought went quite well together, and I just thought of a bit of a simple design. So you can see this kind of zigzag with the macrame, and I just added the beads along the outer edges basically. And then I thought the beads went nicely with this a bit pale blue cord. So that's what that looks like, nice and simple. But those beads really stand out because it's along the edges, and add a little bit of sparkle as well because they're faceted. So those are the few pieces that I ended up making from the bag and the box, and I used a fair few of the beads. Now mainly for the wrap bracelet here, as you can see, that's using quite a lot of the beads, but there's still at the same time quite a few materials left. And I did really enjoy making that wrap bracelet, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out with the combination of the beads there. And also this chain link bracelet, I'm pretty pleased with that. And I did already actually make a tutorial for this. It's pretty quick and simple, so you can check that out. But otherwise, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.